Okay, today we're going to be working on a Vantage stock. I'm going to be modifying it for bench rest use. I've done this before and it worked out real well. This one took a little time because I couldn't find the laminate to do it with, but I did get some pieces from Cusino Woods, and we're going to fixing to get this going. First I'd like to show you how we're setting this up, but I had to change a couple things this morning too. I used to have my dial indicator mounted over here, but used to get in the way all the time. So you can take these electrical plates and screw them down nice and tight to a wood bench or whatever. And now I got a place to stick my magnetic base dial indicator out of the way and safe. The other thing I needed to do was change the jaws. These are the standard jaws for this vise. They're a little bit short for what I'm going to be doing. You'll know why here in a little bit. So I got some aluminum bar stock, rectangular stock, 3/4 inch. These are 2.5 inch. And then this is 3 inch. And I can use these however height I need for the job that I happen to be doing, the project I'm working on. Easily made, and you can do this same stuff if you have a drill press. You just have to take your time and be a little creative. Anyway, I got to get this all set up, and we'll get the stock put in there. This is the Vantage stock that we're going to be using. Basically what we need to do is change the butt angle a little better to ride the rabbit ear bags. It's already been modified for a kid rear tang and ready for a bedded front pillar, undercut, and so forth. But having a fore end that is angled up and not parallel to the barrel center line kind of doesn't, it works for bench rest, but it's not as good as it could be. Now you could just flatten that out and cut right through the stippling on the side, but I don't want to do that. So I'm going to take my time with this and modify it such that I won't have those too many issues with that stippling. Even though it's not even, you can see the reveal on this side between the bottom and the bottom of the stippling and the bottom of the stippling to the bottom of the fore end on this side is different. So we're going to have to deal with that. You notice there's a big maple jig set up in this, and basically what that does is it sits on the inletting on the inside and squares everything up. Everything's already been squared in the mill with this piece, and then also bottoms out on the top rail, so it's all square and then held in by this cleat on the bottom. And basically what I'll do is I'll use this to mount it in the mill when I'm good to go. Okay, so we'll start on that here in just a little bit. A little clutter right now because I'm moving things around, but I wanted to get started on this. Here are two pieces of 2x2 lamination. It's called Dark Night. Basically the same colors as that, even though they do look off a little bit. These are both from Cusino Woods. What I did was I milled this center splice so that it was flat. Also had to be careful to make sure that I had kept the stack up of the laminations the same all the way through. Simply because when you get these, at least on these, we had a dark gray out here and a dark gray on the other side. And the same thing here, a gray and a gray. Well, you can't have a gray against a gray here and hope that it lines up halfway decent with the laminations on the stock, because those are like gray, purple, like that. So what I had to do was mill off one gray on, I can't remember which one I did it on, but mill off one layer so that when I stack this up now, the pattern stays the same. Gray, purple, gray, purple, gray, purple, gray, purple, gray, purple, on through. Now, one thing I'll have to do this is I'll have to set it in here eventually before I finish this project and get it going again, is I'll need to mill this very flat, so it lays against the flat that I'm going to put on the stock, and there won't be any joint. So anyway, right now what I'm doing is I have to set up my vise so that I can get everything zeroed out and make sure that I'm not going to run into any issues with the alignment of the stock. So this is what's called a final word indicator. And basically all I need to do is run this down to where it's against the piece that the stock's going to ride on. Sorry about the jerkiness, I am not a videographer. And then I'll run this out. I'm going to get this over to the edge here. It doesn't have to be perfect, we're working with wood. But the closer it is, the better off I'm going to be. Now I'll bring that around to 0, basically by using a cross slide. And then I'll check it from end to end, from here over to here, to see what we have, and then I can adjust the vise accordingly to get it to where I need it to be, where I'm comfortable with it. So we'll take the power feed and we'll jog her over the other side. We'll see how far off we are. Well, we're off a bunch, so obviously going to exceed it. I can tell already that it needs to go that way because I need to bring this in that direction, right? So take and loosen these bolts. Swing her this way a little bit easily. Whoa, 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 whoa. I don't want to go too far. Let's see where we're getting to now. Now, one trick you can do, since I'm going around a central axis, is I can bring this around to the center point, which is about here, which I scribed on here, gosh, I don't know how long ago, and get it close. So obviously we're off just a little bit. We'll bring that around, bring it out to 0 at the center, since it's off so far. I could eyeball it, but we'll do it this way. So we'll rack this over, and we are way off. Bring that over. Matter of fact, I'm going to eyeball it in a little bit. What I'm doing is I'm lining up this section here with a line here on the back of the mill. Just kind of eyeballing it to get it close. Move it a little bit more. That shouldn't be too awful damn far off. I'll take this back over to the center again. See if we're a little bit better now than we were. And that's just by eyeballing it. Bring that to 0. And we'll bring this around. Wow. Not bad for an eyeball. That's about 1/1000th in half of the indicator, half of the jaw. So we'll take this to 0. I'm going to snug these bolts just a little bit so it doesn't move too easy. And then we'll see where we're at. So bring this to 0. And we'll slide her on over to the other end. And we're off 1, 2, about 3.5 thousandths. So that's pretty close, but obviously it doesn't take a heck of a lot to get it in just a little bit closer. So we're going to go this way, and we'll lock it down a little bit. We went about half of what we had, maybe just a touch over that. And right now we're at +1, a little under +1. So we'll go the other way, see where we're at. back to 0. So we're 0 here. We're 2.5. We didn't gain much there, did we? So we'll, oops, loosen this just a little bit. Bring her over. Soft blow. Now, sometimes what happens is your washers under your nuts get bent a little bit, and every time you try to zero something out, they can actually cause it to slide when you don't want it to. So I'll try this again, see where we're at. Okay, we went too far. How did that happen? Because I moved it the entire amount, and we're going around a central axis almost. So by moving it the entire amount, I moved this side this way, or actually this way, and that side went back. So that's not what we want. So we're at about, what, 7, 8. So we'll do this. Loosen her up. I want to come into the jaw a little bit, so we want to go about 3 to 4. Sorry for the cough. I'm a little bit under the weather. Spring cold, I guess. And now we'll see where we're at here. Let's zero up again. And see what we got. We're about 1 1.25, so I'm going to call that good. Remember, we are dealing with a piece of wood. Could I get that all out? Yeah, probably, but I have a little bit of give in my gibs anyway, so and double check it. We're off less than 1/1000th of an inch, so that's pretty good. So we'll take this out and we'll set up for the next part of the project, which is setting the stock in here. Get that. Okay. So I feel pretty good that I'm close enough for government work. Actually, closer to government work. I hate to say it that way. I probably shouldn't. Anyway, move a couple things out of the way here. Now, what I want to do is I'm going to set this stock in here. And I'm going to rack this in. And then you see how pretty stiff that is. It's not going to go anywhere. And then what I'll do, let me adjust this a little bit. I have this level, this digital angle indicator that I'll zero out to the bed, to the tabletop. And I'll take that and I'll set it up here. And I can tell you right now, the end of it's high. So it's off about 2.5. So what I want to do is I want to move her down a little bit. So we're 2.0. Obviously that's still 0, so you want to go a little bit lower than that. I didn't tighten it up all the way yet, so I can move it a little bit. Now we're down to 1.85. Move a little bit more. 1.35. A little bit more. 0.9. We're getting close. Constantly checking here to make sure I'm still 0. We come back up here. 0.25. That's a quarter of a degree. Not going to take a whole lot more to get this pretty close to 0. And there we are. Now we're 0 there. And we're 0 here. And by prior measurements and so forth, I know that the spindle is perpendicular to this 0. So that means this is going to be perpendicular to that 0. So let's lock this down. Make sure she can't go anywhere. Okay, 0. And we're still 0. So we're good that way. And then I'm going to shut this off for a minute and get everything else set up, and then we'll machine that forend. What I want to do is I want to machine this flat and try not to get into this stippling detail. Though I may have to a little bit because they're not even. This stippling here, the reveal between the bottom and here is pretty much wider than the reveal on this side. You can see how short this reveal is compared to the reveal on the other side. Matter of fact, the easy way to see it is right here from the top. You can easily see the stipplings almost to the edge. Here, it's not even close to the edge. So it's gonna be off a little bit, but it won't be off a hell of a lot. And we'll work it from there.